Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new live stream. I'm doing something I haven't done in a long time. I have a guest with me. Hello,
Hey,
Julie.
hi.
Julie is today's expert, and we're going to be talking about something that I think is really, really, really important, and we don't talk about enough. I've been a little bit, but in general, we need to talk about more. But before we get started, as per tradition, tell me what's in your cup and where are you from? I'm here in New York City. That feels like has embraced winter, and I'm drinking some peach tea. I love this peach tea. It's got some ginger. It's perfect. What's in your cup, Julie?
I got water, classic, staying hydrated.
Nice.
I'm in the south of France in Marseille, so we just passed the heat wave, but it's still quite warm. So yeah, keeping some water near me.
I think that's a good idea, especially at this point. Let's see
Yeah,
where
for
everyone is
sure.
from. If you're in the chat, please tell us, or if you're watching us, tell us where you're from and what's in your cup. We're gonna get started in a few moments, waiting for more people to shuffle in. That's a relic from the Zoom days where I used to do this on Zoom, and it would take forever for people to shuffle in just because the way Zoom is.
Yeah. Do you ever drink icy? That's an option that I really enjoy.
I'm more of a if a drink is meant to be drink hot, then I will drink it hot, regardless of what's happening around me. Like for example, a lot of people like iced coffee, and I only drink these little espressos, and they're hot. Even if it's
Yeah,
100 degrees outside, I will still drink it this way.
fair, fair enough. The Italian way.
Yeah, there's only one way to drink it, in my opinion.
Espresso, yeah, for
Hmm.
sure.
So that's that. Ooh, we got some people in Belarus. Nice. I see more people shuffling in, so the Zoom method is working. It's really hot in Barcelona. Cold water. That's good. We're international again. I love when I ask and everyone is all over the place. And I'm trying to
Yeah,
visualize all the different places.
it's good to have an idea of like where people are coming from and your viewers and it's truly international.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get ready to get started. I see more people are shuffling in, but we have a lot to talk about today. So
Hmm.
I think it's time to get started. I'm Ariel from Appfigures. We're going to be talking about conversion optimization. I know big words, but we're going to be talking about how all the work you have been doing with your App Store optimization or with your Apple ads are slowly paying off by converting them into downloads. And that's why Julie is here. Hello, Julie. Officially, hello.
Hi. Hi again.
Julie is officially a,
Thank you for having me.
of course, you're officially a growth expert, right? That's how you would say it.
Yeah, I would say that I've been working within the app ecosystem for like 5 years and in like big and smaller companies, but yeah, I have a pretty good idea of like what's working and what's not, especially on iOS.
iOS is where the money is, as I have shown in my newsletter time and time and time again. So when it comes to what should I optimize first, it is the App Store. And people ask me all the time, what do I do with Google Play? Can you give me tips for Google Play? You're so focused on Apple. And I keep promising I will do that. But realistically, when it comes to chasing the money, Apple should be the first. And I've seen so many apps who are Apple only, I think mostly for that reason. Do you see that too? Or do you even touch Google Play?
I don't really. It happened, but to be honest, I really focus on Apple. It's just because, well, that's so for people to understand. I used to work at Apple Ads, so that's where I get the biggest understanding of like the platform. And I've seen it. I remember asking clients, gaming or like just apps, what's the best performing, channel and platform, and they would always answer iOS. Apple Ads was always kind of on the at the top as well. So yeah, it was super interesting to see and just look at the numbers as well. Every year you get, the number of downloads versus revenue, and yeah, Apple is there for sure. So
Yeah, that's
yeah, I
very, very
focused.
true. I've
Mm,
shown that a bunch of times for games, for apps, and now we're seeing a few, I would say, a few more successes that are also on Google and are putting similar numbers, especially with the big titles. But that's, I think, because Google has spent so much time trying to make a Google Play feel like the App Store. They've cut down a lot of the junk that's on there. They're really mimicking what's working, which is great. I think that's more
yeah.
opportunities, but the numbers are still leaning in Apple's favor. So the one big thing that I've been talking about on all of my live streams forever and ever is App Store optimization. I've been talking about Apple ads and a few other ways to get more people to see your app. And you've done that too. And one of the important things is once you land in the App Store, then what? So you got someone, and what do you do now? Are you certain they're going to download the app or not? What the people that you've worked with, do they think about this? Is that something that's top of mind, or is it like, what do I do now?
So it's quite interesting because I think most developers they want scale, they want the volume,
Hmm.
but they get all these impressions and then you look at the downloads and there's a massive drop and I'm like, you managed to get all those impressions, but you're not managing to get the downloads and it's quite a shame. Like you should be able to convert. So the idea behind like this talk is just to unlock some, growth tips and opportunities in order to improve this conversion rate and make the most of the impressions. And maybe it's going to be having a bit less impressions at first, but then increasing your conversion rates and therefore it will increase your install as well. But yeah, basically helping marketers and developers just make the most of the App Store, both paid and organic volume that they can get.
And I think this makes a lot of sense because ultimately driving traffic to the App Store is one thing, and you can do it in a bunch of different ways. You can do ads outside the App Store, you can do Apple ads, you can do organic. But then once they're in the App Store, that's it. That's your way of actually earning that download, and then that cascades to getting to making money. And so I've been talking a lot about custom product pages and product pages in general this entire year. I started the year by talking about your screenshots and if the screenshots are doing what they're supposed to. I've done a bunch of live streams on that. And people on the live streams have gone back, made changes, and actually saw more downloads, which is incredible. But then Apple said, hey, we have this thing called custom product pages, and they're great for Apple ads. I'm sure you've seen that, but
Yeah.
they're we're gonna make them work for organic because we love you so much. And that
Yeah,
really,
that's pretty cool.
I think that's one of the
I,
biggest changes to the App Store in the last decade. They've made a lot of
I
changes. This is one of the
agree.
substantial ones.
So I've seen custom product pages being used a lot for Apple ads just because, you could improve your conversion rate. It's insane. Like you can run on the same keywords and you can have a product pay variation just to align with its keywords. It's amazing. But that was paid. But now, not
Hmm.
every developers can afford to go live on Apple search ads. So what they've done is just using it for organic, linked to the keyword field. So that's another discussion. But
Yeah, we'll get
um,
there because it's
yeah,
problematic. We talked about that
but
last
still,
week.
it's a really cool opportunity to be able to link. It's really having a landing page, right? Like you can do it
Exactly.
on the website, so why not doing it on the App Store? So it's
Hmm.
being able to be more granular to align with what the user is looking for. And pretty much, I mean, it's a win-win for everyone. Apple gets more installs, they get more people to use the App Store to get more revenue in the end. And the app developers just get also this. So basically everyone is happy
Yeah.
and yeah, it just improves everything.
Everyone who's going to use it. I think that's one of the key words. So
Yeah.
we started tracking custom product pages and Appfigures, I want to say back in May, which feels like forever ago, but we've been looking at all the apps and all their custom product pages before we even knew this would work for organic. We wanted that for the Apple ad side because the difference, whether you have it or you don't, is just astonishing. I've seen some of the numbers, I've seen some of the studies, some from Apple, some from others, and they're just day and night. We're talking about double digit percentage increases, and it makes sense, especially for the apps that do multiple things and have multiple audiences. But we looked at them, and while the top grossing apps are using them heavily, 83% of the top 100 apps, or 83 out of the top 100, do have them. And the 17 that don't, I did analysis on my newsletter. There's a reason. It's because they hate Apple in some sort of way. But now that it's available for, but that's it. If you go below, it's starting to really change. It's not as common now that it's available for organic. I think everyone is going to have them.
Yeah, it's going to be more competitive for sure. I think it's going to change some things in terms of ranking, app rankings, right? Because some apps were ranking super high for keywords that were not really relevant against, but now everyone is able to really align their messaging. I think it will change things.
Yeah,
It's gonna be interesting next 6 months, in my opinion.
absolutely.
Um, but yeah, I've seen great use case. It just made me thought on Apple Eyes, there was this puzzle game app. So they had crossword, they had Sudoku, they had different
That sounds perfect.
word and number games. Yeah, exactly. So what we did is we just split by keywords theme and one custom product page for crosswords and one custom product page for Sudoku. And I think we saw an increase of like 27% in like tap to rate. So yeah, and conversion rates stay stable. So
That's
basically
wild.
yeah, it was
Insane.
insane. Yeah, yeah, it was really good. So hopefully they're now doing it for ASO, because I mean that's a massive win. So yeah.
That's that is mind blowing in my opinion. And for those of you who haven't seen my live stream from last week, where I walked you through how to actually do this and what is a custom product page, just as a quick overview. Custom product page lets you change the screenshots you have for your app based on the keyword the user was searching for. So if the user was searching for a specific keyword that may align with a specific set of things that you want to display, now you can do it. Apple just released this in iOS 26. It's not available to the big public yet. Big public, sure. But it is available if you're on the beta, public, or private, or developer. And I've seen it, and it is wonderful, really wonderful. So we'll talk a little bit about what does it mean to have a custom product page, and then we'll talk about what do you do, how do you set it up, how do you make sure that it really helps with conversion, because that to me is the biggest tip that you can do right now. Go and build a custom product page before iOS 26 ships in about a month, not even. So that's going to be the focus of this. But there is a twist to this. The way Apple set it up limits us as optimizers and takes away some of the tools we had before, in a way. So we'll get to that as well. So where do you start when you look at an app and you think, okay, how do I optimize conversion? What's step number one that you go through?
Well, first, I think I look at the data. I think everything that I do is driven by data. So I'm gonna look at what's the actual conversion rates. But okay, we might have the conversion rate for like worldwide, for your app worldwide, but I'm thinking, okay, maybe let's break it down by geo. I think for me that's super interesting because in the US, you might have a really high conversion rate, but then you look at Germany and then it's really low, and then you start like deep diving into each country, and you see depending on the country some resonates more than other to your app. So based on that you can actually start somewhere. You don't just optimize everything at once. You just start where you see the lowest conversion rate and what you can expect in certain country. So that's what I do. I really deep dive in the data. I love like playing around with different like fields and filters and everything. And then once I have a understanding, I'm gonna start focusing obviously in the biggest geo. So, look at your biggest geo, see where you're at in terms of keywords ranking, what are your best keywords, where are you ranking the highest? And then now you have those keywords and those kind of like themes that you identified, you can start crafting your page around those because that's what your users are looking for and that's what they want to see when they see your app. So maybe add the keywords in the screenshots, maybe, see the titles or subtitles. Is it like optimized to the fullest, or is there still like some keywords you can tweak and see what's going on there? Description, be as descriptive as you can. So yeah, I think I would start from there, like first geo, like data driven, looking at like where you get the highest slash lowest conversion rate. And then once you've identified that, figure out what your best keywords are and how to optimize towards those keywords.
And I think that's such a that makes so much sense because we're talking about intent, right? We're talking about segmentation, and your keywords are already segmented. They do all the work for you. So I was thinking about a while back when we started getting into custom product pages at Appfigures. I was thinking, what is the right way to help people really put custom product pages to good use? And step number one was, which ones do I need? And you only have 35, so you can't do infinity. You can't try every single thing your app has. even though 35 is a ton, and I haven't seen that many apps even get close. Most apps are way lower. But I was thinking, what if we just have an AI agent that goes through all of your keywords, your organic and your paid, and tells you this is what's working for you currently. Just optimize for that. So we did that, and that just made everything so much simpler for our members. It was just amazing. It's in beta, so it's not all of our members. And if anyone is curious about this, let me know. But eventually, that will be. We'll talk
I'd be
after.
curious.
Yeah, optimizing AI
But I do
agents is a lot
use,
of fun.
yeah, I was gonna say I do use AI to analyze and help me figure this out. What are the top keywords? And sometimes it's about keywords that have a lot of impressions, but maybe the conversion rate is a bit lower, and therefore you have a massive opportunity in front of you.
Yep.
Because if you can increase this conversion rate based on this really high volume keywords, you have thousands of installs just like
Yep.
waiting for you, basically.
And I think that's the key. That's what we're trying to unlock here. So being able to highlight those, and you can do that even without AI. Just go into the site and click a few buttons
Yeah.
and see what's going on. And we can do that for competitors too. So you can take that from your competitors if you don't want to do that yourself, which is usually my go-to. But that is a good way to get started. When it comes to segmentation and keywords, how do you do the grouping for them? So if based on the features, do you group it by demographics? Do you group it by use cases?
Yeah, I think I group them by use cases mostly. I
Okay.
guess it depends on the app and the
Yeah,
category. I mean,
makes sense.
if it's an app for period tracking, I mean, there's going to be a gender obviously
Yeah.
involved. But yeah, I'm thinking about use cases. So if you have different features, then maybe you might want a custom product page to highlight those different features. So let's say, I think the easiest example is about travel apps. So you have a travel app that
Yep.
does flights, and you have hotel booking and car renting. So basically, you can have a custom product page for each of those features, I guess, like car versus hotel versus
Hmm.
flights. Because a user that be looking for flights obviously is not looking for car renting necessarily.
Yep.
So they will be, seeing that they can book easily their flights, and boom, you have your user, you have your downloads for your app.
Yeah, I saw an interesting example, an app that provides services to it's like a billing app for small businesses. And there are a lot of different types of small businesses. You have electricians and plumbers and a whole bunch of others. And they don't necessarily see themselves as a small business, but they see themselves as an electrician or a plumber. So when they search for things, they might search for invoicing for plumbers, not invoicing for small business. They might also search for that, but realistically, they're going to go after themselves. And even if they do, if you show them a plumber and something related to plumbing in the screenshots, immediately their mind will go, yeah, this is for me. This is what I need to be using right now. But if you show them something that has a plumber and an electrician and a nurse and something else, it's less likely to capture them, especially because there's a ton of competition. So if the competition will show a plumber, that's it, game over. And that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point with the segmentation. In that case, that works really well. But once again, I think it's based on the keyword that people are looking for. So if you have this data, that's
Hmm.
super helpful. And that's why I like Apple Ads, because you can get this data by running on different keywords and you kind of know what users are looking for.
Hmm.
So yes, of course, you pay for installs, but also you pay for insights about,
Yeah.
what people are really looking. No, but seriously, like
Hmm.
people are really looking for and what they really, yeah, want to download, and where there's some volume and impressions available.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where up until now, custom product pages could help with Apple Ads, but now Apple Ads can help with custom product pages for organic. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we'll see a lot more of that using Apple Ads for quick research. What's going to help me? What's going to get me the most conversion? Testing custom product pages, then bringing those back
So
into
ASO, yeah.
organic. Yeah.
And
Uh,
maybe updating your keyword field to align better with what people are actually looking for, and therefore use PPs later on.
Now we're talking about advanced optimization.
Yeah.
Mike in the chat is saying that he had, well, let me bring the chat up, uh, that he got a 90% conversion rate on a CPP with Apple Ads. So yeah, they work. I
Yeah,
agree.
nice. I
Yeah,
mean, it's really strong.
that's crazy. These numbers just
So
make
now
no sense.
if we can increase the hits tap fill rate, that'd be insane because that means more taps, more views, more downloads
Yeah,
down
exactly.
down the line.
The whole
Yeah.
funnel just works, and now you also have a very measurable way to say to get an additional download is going to cost me this much, and that's the formula everyone really wants, whether it comes to whether it's ads
Yeah.
or anything else. So that's pretty good. Let's see. We'll take another question quickly. Leonardo is asking a question that I believe I've seen before. What's the best strategy to get A/B test results in low installs app? Should I run Apple search ads with default ad? Will that trigger store experiments? Um,
That's a tricky one.
yeah, very tricky one. I'm pretty sure it will trigger an experiment, so that will definitely work. But I,
Yeah, but it's not really A/B testing when you use CPPs on Apple Ads because it's default versus the when you launch a CPP on Apple Ads, basically most of the impressions are going to the custom product page. So it's really gonna be a time frame. Basically, you run the default for 2 weeks and then you run the CPP for 2 weeks, but it's not really an A/B test when you think about it.
yeah, I think one of the things that to me make the most sense is, and the idea of running an Apple Ads campaign to get a ton of traffic in theory is amazing, but unless you're going to put in a bunch of money behind it, depending on the category, of course, you might really just get a trickle. So if you're already getting a trickle of downloads, Apple Ads are not going to, unless you're spending enough money, they're not going to do anything to change that. That's something I observed recently with an app in the Terra space. Super expensive. I started with what Apple recommended, got nothing. Double that, got nothing. Had to double that twice more in order to get to something that works. And at that point, it maxed out the campaign budget really fast. So it's a good strategy if you're going to put in the money behind it. But realistically, if you want to do A/B testing, you have A/B testing built in. Give it more time. To me, that's the only thing that works, and it might take a very long time, but that's okay. Make your variations really, really abrupt.
Yeah, with product page optimization, I think it's one of my favorite tool for ASO because you can really test different things and see what resonates the most. But as you said, if you don't have a lot of impressions, then just wait it out. And I mean, yeah, make big changes as well. Don't really just change the background or like one
Yeah,
word. You really have to make it obvious so it's significant enough.
that makes to me that makes the most sense. Go for something like crazy different if you have a few people, and if you have a ton of people, you can refine things. But realistically, that's what's going to happen. I did a live stream with someone who does A/B testing at scale for companies like Google, and that's also what he recommended and what he said worked for him over the years. We'll link to that later. It's a very good live stream. There's a question in the chat about a step-by-step website to go to find keywords and then test keywords and do all of this, and that's called Appfigures. So if you're here and you're not sure what Appfigures is, please go check out appfigures.com and check out my videos, which will teach you how to do all the keyword optimization that you need to do. All right, we'll do one more question, then we'll go back to talking about how to actually craft custom product pages or even screenshots in general that convert once we have the data. But one more. Where's my chat? Chat is on the screen, and we're gonna go to this. For an iOS app during the launch phase, first 3 months, what provides better conversion? Apple Search Ads or Apple Ads, I should say, or Meta Ads?
Hmm.
Trick question, I think.
Yeah, really tricky. Um, so obviously there's different channels. Apple Ads is well known to bring high value users because you have the intent and you can really get granular with what users are looking for and where you appear. However, it's also more expensive and the volume is limited. So really depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for performance, maybe and scale, maybe meta ads would be more efficient. But later on, I think if you're looking to refine your strategy and if you're looking to really um, find those really high value users that might stay longer within your app and use it, yeah, and stay like focus on the retention basically. Therefore, I think Apple ads would be good for that. I think, yeah, once again, I think it depends on your goal. Yeah.
I th-
And also your time, because Apple Ads is kind of easy to launch. Meta Ads, you need a lot of creatives, and that's a lot of resources to put into. So yeah.
I think that in addition to that, the big difference is there are some things that people are looking for actively, and those are going to work on Apple Ads like this. If someone is looking for a calculator or a calculator clock or a calculator flashlight, who knows, and they're coming to the App Store and they're searching for it already, you're golden. Don't go anywhere else. They're already in the App Store. They don't have to hop on from a different platform. Don't do any of those things. Stick to Apple Ads. If someone is not searching for what you have, maybe because it's a brand new type of technology or it's something that they may not be thinking about in the right terms, then you have to show it to them. You can still use Apple Ads for that without keywords. You can use the Today page. You can use other things to show that off, and then that's where the opening is for other platforms. And that's also how you can do that organically. Go on Reddit, post about your app, go on all these other platforms and post about it. And then Meta ads or Instagram ads, or really any of those, become another tool that people will see. It's kind of like a billboard. People will see, be like, do I need this? Okay. In most cases, they'll be like, do I need this? No, move on. And that goes to Julie's point. You really need to sell to them. They're not ready, they're not primed. So you really, really, really need to sell to them. And in some cases, you have to. In some cases, you don't. Hopefully, you don't, because it's significantly easier any other way than what I've done and
Yeah.
what I've seen.
So actually, you mentioned those other placements on the App Store that I didn't talk about. So you have the Today tab, which is in the prime like first page when you open the App Store. You get a lot of volume, but low conversions.
Yeah.
So it's really tough, I'd say, unless you have a lot of spend and budget, then yeah, I wouldn't use Today tab. But Search tab, on the other hand, is actually like working quite well, and you can get like lower CPIs. So I would advise, if you maybe later on, and adding like audience refinement as well. So maybe, gender or age, or even returning users, if you're looking to re-engage with your users that don't have the app anymore, then Search tab is really good for that. You can use CPPs as custom product pages as well now, so you can actually even refine that. So yeah, those are like worth testing, maybe not during the launch,
Yeah.
unless you want really high visibility, but depending on your budget.
Yeah, I think that those are all good points. So if you're launching, depending on what you're launching, if you do have that intent in the App Store, go for it and max out. And that's how you'll find the most high intent users. If you want to take the time and have the budget to also billboard it, do that as well. But depends on how you want to launch. I think that's the goal. Okay, cool. So no more questions. Let's focus on what's coming next. You have keywords. You know what you want to do. Then what? What's next?
You know what you want to do. Then, well, figure out what you want to focus on. Well, you get those keywords teams, right? So, um, you should check your product page.
Mm-hmm.
Those keywords, do they appear on your App Store page? Like, do you have them somewhere in your title or subtitle? Do you have them in your screenshots? I know we talk a lot about screenshots, but I think that's probably what people are looking at the most. I mean, you have a
Hands down.
relatively small screen, so when you have like a screenshot that take probably a third of your screen, something that catch your eye. So use those and make the most out of them. You can test preview videos. It works depending on the category. But yeah, try to include those keywords that we've identified, and try to put them in the best place within your product page. So depends what you think is best. Like maybe subtitle, it might have an impact, or maybe the screenshots. I think you need to test once again. The
Yeah.
data will tell, really.
It's really a lot of this is testing because it's mostly iterations over what is my app doing versus what other competitors in my niche are doing versus what the algorithm is looking for based on which apps are showing up in these results. And it's not always your competitors, as we've seen before. It's just whoever somehow managed to get the keyword into their name or subtitle or keyword list. But you touch on something really important, the importance of keywords inside of screenshots. A lot of people don't think of that. They don't really understand that if I'm looking for a specific keyword, if I visualize it, see it on the screen, that will reinforce that this app is for me. Again, another one of those reasons why you want to have different sets of screenshots for different sets of keywords. How have you seen that really play out? Have you seen situations where there were no keywords or the keywords were just kind of generic and that lowered conversion versus you switched one thing and then it really helped?
Yeah, that was one of the best practice that we would recommend, like advertisers to do at Apple. We would tell them, listen, if you want to do a custom product page, really add the keywords that you're adding to your campaigns within your screenshot because it's a no-brainer. You're looking for something, you see it on your screen, you know that it's what you're looking for, and you got the download. It's like it's straightforward, and I think that's what most people want is something like easy to find and understanding right away that's what they need. So yeah, I think it can really help with that. Once again, you should test, but yeah, I think that's a kind of like one of the best tips that most people still forget to do because they
Absolutely.
focus on branding or like design or whatever. And I'm like, no, actually, just you go straight to the point.
Hmm. And if there's one tip you take away from this, for everyone who's watching, it's this. Always have keywords that align with what your users are searching for in your screenshots. I think that's a big miss for users who didn't do this. And now, because Apple also reads the screenshots with AI, you're getting more chances to get those keywords actually indexed. And so it's incredibly important to do this. And if you don't, yeah, you're really in trouble. So that's another one of those things that if you don't do well, you're not going to get penalized, but your competitors are going to get a nice bump when they do. Super, super
Yeah.
important.
I think looking at what your competitors are doing as well.
Hmm.
Take an ad that is like ranking higher or like getting more reviews or downloads than you and see what they're up to. Just for inspiration. I mean, it's not copying, it's just getting inspired.
Yeah, exactly.
And see what's working because they probably tested as well and they probably have
Hmm.
learnings that you don't. So yeah, feel free to do it.
That's the best shortcut that I ever have in my mind to go to. Anytime someone asks me, what do I do? Look at your competitors. Or not even your competitors. Look at who's successful wherever you want to be. Could be a competitor, could be a similar app, could be some app that got there by accident. It doesn't really matter. They're doing something right. Go and understand what it is. And you're right, the reviews are just such a treasure trove for keywords, for intents, for people who are looking for the downloads, the way the downloads are, the trends. Super important to see if it's going up, going down. And you can't necessarily just guess that by looking at the app. What else from competitors? Really everything, where they're featured, what kind of keywords they use for Apple ads, what do they put in their custom product pages. I recently analyzed a whole bunch of custom product pages to understand what is the strategy. Built an AI for that too. And the output from that is so clean and so simple to understand because it just makes sense that you can take that. And again, like you said, don't copy, but let that inspire you. So if you're a
Yeah.
dating app and you see that one of your competitors is using different age groups or different genders or different types of relationships, you could do that exact same thing super easy.
Yeah, so actually, there's two things. First, you're talking here about audience refinement. So for Apple ads, it's a bit tricky. I wouldn't recommend always using it because it limits the
Okay.
volume. It's going to be a bit more technical and a bit boring, but basically, there's a personalized ads on. So you allow the app or not to follow you and track you. And if a user say no, and it's 80% of the time, then your ad won't appear if you use audience refinement in your ads on Apple. So basically, if you add audience refinement uh, at a campaign level, then you might miss out on like a big chunk of the volume. So that's something to just keep in mind. So it's nice to use it, I think, in high volume placement, like today tab or search tab. But if you start going into keywords because it's quite limited, then it might not do well.
Interesting. So you're saying though use audience refinements, do everything with CPPs and everything else you have access to and keywords, but let everyone see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get this question all the time, specifically from people who are saying, I set up an Apple ad campaign and nothing works. I don't get any clicks, I don't get any impressions. And that could be one of those factors where you think, let me get clever and set it all up right. And you end up just limiting your reach, especially as things become more
Yeah.
expensive.
So basically, the targeting is your keyword. That's how I think about it. Is like
Yeah.
you'll get the right audience just because of the keyword and not because you added whatever audience targeting, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. We had a guest on a previous live stream say something very, very similar about meta ads and how about and
Mm.
about if you turn off the targeting, you will get more appropriate traffic, which to most people is like, what? How is that possible? And I think technically that makes a lot of sense.
I think I've watched this one. It was with Hannah, right?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, I think I watched it. It was a really good one.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and about the competitors also, because we were talking about that, just check if they're running on their own brand terms, because if they're not, then you have an opportunity to get traffic from them at a cheaper price. So that's another trick. And it's good traffic most of the time. So
Really?
yeah.
I've always gone
Mhm.
against using other brand names in my campaigns, mostly because if someone is searching for that brand, why would they be looking for me? But it really depends on the type of app. For ASO, it's very different than for Apple ads. But for example, in the food delivery space, Uber Eats and all of those should definitely do that because I think people are hungry, and that's pretty much it. But in some
Yeah.
other cases, I think it gets a little bit more complicated. But it's worth testing.
Yeah, I mean, check first if they're protecting their brand because if they're protecting their brand, then it's going to be expensive. But if they're
Yeah,
not,
that's true.
then might have volume. And I mean, if the app is pretty similar, yeah, some people are
Yeah,
just at the end, they're not that, they're not going to follow a brand all the way through. Like sometimes if they see another product that looks better, why not test it?
yeah. I think that's really what it is. It really depends. It's worth testing, and some people just don't care. They're just hungry at the end of the day, and they
Yeah,
need
yeah.
something for that. So there's one important thing we have to touch on. The question came up in the chat too, and we know about this, but the way Apple implemented custom product pages for organic is they require you to attach a keyword to a custom product page, but you can't type it in. You have to select it from a predefined list that they extracted from the keyword list in the main localization for the country. So a whole bunch of things are kind of ruined now. Most of the keywords that are important go in the name and then the subtitle. Those are not accessible. We also use different localizations for expanding keywords. Those are not accessible. Do you have any tips for how to navigate this?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. I think we're all testing at the moment. I'm trying different, approach. Like, should we keep the same keyword list as we used to have, or should we just switch it to what we want to really showcase and using CPPs? So that's the kind of thing that at the moment I'm still exploring as well with the
Yeah.
clients that I have, and the app that I manage. Um, yeah, I think what's important is maybe not having repetitive keywords within your keyword field and being able to really showcase different features within your app and therefore being able to really increase your conversion rate and maybe also the relevancy and maybe your ranking down the line. So that's about, yeah, right now I think there's not a lot of advice I could give just because I'm also testing because it's like pretty new. Um, but yeah, what I'm doing right now is just because of the CPPs we were running on Apple Ads, I'm just trying to reuse that and align with the keywords that we currently have in the keywords field. I'm gonna see what's going on there, and then later on maybe see if we need to update the keyword field so we get even more accurate, but maybe means losing ranks on some
Mm-hmm.
keywords. So yeah, it's not sure yet what's the right answer, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's there's no right answer yet, mostly because this isn't public, so there's not enough data put out there. Most apps have not even tried it yet. But I had some ideas in my previous stream about this, and I had two strategies. One of them was treat everything as a custom product page, including your default. So omit the idea of your default as a catch-all. Your default becomes your main use case, and then all the other use cases go into the keyword list, because that's how you're going to do your optimization kind of anyway. If you have if you do a travel app and it's got flights and it's got cars, ideally you would focus on one of those in your name and subtitle, and then everything else goes in the keyword list. So I kind of figured maybe that would be something that can be used across. Again, needs to be tested, way too early to tell. But that was one idea that I had, and the other was take all of the edge cases, not the edge cases, take all of your secondary use cases and make sure they're all represented in the keyword list. And so now you have a lot more variety. So you can say car rentals and whatever else a travel app would do, and hotels and everything else. Those go in there. It does get a little bit tricky, but ultimately, that's really what we have.
Yeah, I tend to forget that it's not available to everyone yet.
Yeah, I
So yeah,
know.
we might not have some result. That's why yeah. I've been using the beta as well, so I'm already like switched to the new version, but yeah, I keep forgetting it's not out.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't see enough data. So for me, it's all about seeing as much data as possible. And we just don't have enough data because no one's using it. No one's using it
Yeah, no,
technically.
that's true.
So
Yeah.
I can't wait. You said 6 months before, and I think that's a good amount of time to wait. So by the end of the year, the beginning of 2026, I think we'll have much better strategies that are grounded in data, and that's what we're
Yeah.
going to be sharing.
So new OS adoption rate tends to be quite slow, surprisingly. So you
Yeah.
might wait 6 months, even 2 years sometimes to have like more than 60% people doing the update. So, and also you forget that some people cannot do them because they have old devices. So,
Hmm.
sometimes it might take, yeah, really long time until you actually see like proper results because it's out for everyone.
Yeah, and I think it really depends on the kind of audience that you have and your kind of user base, and are they techies that have betas on their phones right away, or are they not? And yeah, we got some time before we know. But in any case, building a CPP does not cost anything; they're free, so it really doesn't hurt you to try and take advantage. And if it doesn't do anything, just zero addition, okay. But if you get even a little bit, you did it. So
Yeah.
realistically, there's no way to lose. So we covered, I think, the biggest question that I had. But do you have any other tips for how to put together custom product pages and screenshots in general that convert really well?
Um, So I already gave it. I think it's about showcasing really what users are looking for. So
Hmm.
even actually, we talked about the keywords appearing like the text, but also, the within the app, you can show what like, it looks like, maybe like book your flights, and then you can show like where in the app you get the booking, and you can maybe showcase like, oh, you get rewards if you use that or something like this. And then also using deep links, because you can actually use deep links with CPPs. So you can add a link within the app that when a user will click install and get the app on the App Store, link to the CPP, then they will arrive directly in that example to the flight booking part of your app. So that helps for the after,
Hmm.
because once you get the installs, it's not over. Then you actually need to convert later on, like post install. So that really helps. And in terms of the screenshots, I think it's about sometimes just shuffling, testing different combination. You don't have
Hmm.
to have a brand new set. Sometimes it's just about testing different variation of like the set that you got. So, if you don't have time to redo everything, just try, changing the maybe if we put the one that in the fifth position, you can try it in the
Hmm.
second and try like switching a bit the order. Sometimes it works well. So yeah.
I think that's a really quick way to at least try something new and see what happens. So if you don't want to spend time with Photoshop or whatever you use to make screenshots, go and shuffle them a little bit. And there's usually, and I've done a lot of screenshot teardowns. There's usually a screenshot, usually towards the end, that if you bring to the front, could really increase your conversion. I see this all the time. It's like, just do this one thing. We'll see what happens. And maybe it doesn't work, but again, it doesn't cost anything. So why not give it a try? Now, there's a question
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
chat that is kind of unrelated, but multiple people have asked for it. So I will put it up, and the question is: does a preview video work for a workout app? I think that's a hard question to answer, so I'm going to simplify a little bit. But what are your thoughts on preview videos, and are they necessary? Custom product pages can have a preview video. Should you take that and run with it? It's definitely a bigger investment. Should you do that?
So I think it depends on the app category, because basically I've seen great results in games, but sometimes you don't need a preview video to showcase a simple utility app. Sometimes you just need to show it in your screenshot and that's enough. So it really depends on like your app category. I would say look at the big players within your app category and see if they're using it or not. If they are, maybe give it a shot. And I mean, why not? And if not, then maybe focus and spend more time on the screenshots instead of because making a video obviously take a lot of time and resources. So yeah, I would check what competitors and big players in the category are doing to see if there's an opportunity.
Yeah, and Mike added to the question that his competitors don't use them, and I think that really gives us the answer. If they don't use them, it's probably not something the users need. One thing that I will add when we talk about preview videos is that if you do want to go with a preview video, make it good. If you put out a video that is a, I don't know, average, basic, less than average, it's gonna hurt you, in my opinion, and from everything that I've seen. So it's better to not have one than to have a bad one. That's the one thing I would
I
put out.
agree.
But like everything else, test it. It's all about
Yeah.
testing.
If you want to have one, then be really impactful within the 5 seconds at the beginning of the video,
Okay.
just because people won't don't have the patience to to stay for that long. If it's good, they're gonna stay, but if you not have your main feature, the main use case within the 5 seconds at the start, then just yeah, it's not probably not gonna work.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if you wanted to try an app preview video, get to the point fast, make it look really good,
Yeah.
and then test it. And then it still might not work because the users either don't care or don't really want to see whatever you show them. They want to see something a little bit different. So just be mindful of that. Always be
Mm-hmm.
testing. That's how I would
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, we're coming up on the end, and there's one question I want to ask you that I think is going to be very important. From everything you've seen, you've been in a lot of places, you've seen a lot of apps. Is there one mistake that people are making that, if they thought about it differently, could change everything when it comes to conversion?
Um, I think it's really about aligning your full experience, It's about
Interesting.
using your product page as a really landing page, but if you're running ads, you really need them to make sense together. So
Mm-hmm.
if a user click on an ad, they need to see what they clicked on. Conversion rate will be better. So once again, custom product pages obviously help with that. Um, but yeah, really try to align as much as you can your full funnel from like the ad to the App Store page to even after the install, like the onboarding. So really try to make it like seamless. So then it will help with the experience and the user is really getting what they thought they would download and what they were looking for.
And I think you hit the nail right on the head. They, as long as they feel like they're getting what they're looking for, and every step of the funnel is just a little bit different. If it's the keyword that they're searching for and they see it in the screenshot, check. If they don't see it, they might drop off and go look at someone else. After that, if the app they get into doesn't really show them that immediately, with the onboarding, also a problem. Even if you see it in the onboarding, but you don't really get access to it in the beginning, also a problem. I think that's where hard paywalls become challenging, but that's for a different live stream. We're still on the
It's not
outside.
a topic.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
whole other topic we do not have time for. But how would you say to go and fix the alignment? What is the first step with alignment? Is it understanding your keywords, and how would you cascade from there?
Yeah, I think keyword is a really good indication just because keyword usually reflects like a feature or like what your app is about. So
Mm-hmm.
if you align with that, I think it really helps. Just ask around, like ask people to use the app or like show them the product page and what they expect from, using this app and
Mm-hmm.
see if, it aligns with what they're expecting or not.
That makes a lot of sense. Again, ask your users. That's also something Sarah said in that live stream. Hannah said in the live stream.
Nice.
I called her Sarah in that live stream too. She's gonna hate me, but I think that makes a lot of sense. So get to know your users. Have you used reviews to get to know users a little bit more? And have you done that for competitors too?
100%. Yeah, when I do an audit, I always start with an audit when I analyze an app and I look at the data and I look at the reviews because some keywords just appear again and again. And that's when you know it's important to people. So that's where you should focus your efforts,
Yeah,
either on your
absolutely.
ad. but also on your screenshots. And
Hmm.
yeah, that's really what users, they're telling you what they like and what they don't like. It's really
Exactly.
precious to look at that. Yeah.
I think it's they're giving you everything you need to know. All you have to do is just listen or read in this case. And I like to do that with
Yeah.
competitors too, because you can take what their users are angry about and go and implement it, or go and say my app has it. Have you done that? Do you do that normally? Do you also look at competitors, or is that a more advanced thing?
No, I also look at competitors. When I do an audit, I do competitor analysis. I look at what they're doing, the
Mm,
screenshot, their monetization, and their reviews, of course. Also Reddit. Reddit is a really good source of
fair.
information. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good information. Reddit is also really weird. So be ready to read a lot of things and may need to ignore some of them because they're just Reddit
Yes.
things, in my experience.
Yeah.
What kind of things do you look for when you go after reviews or competitor reviews, or even Reddit? Do you look for specific features people are asking for, or do you try to read between the lines?
Yeah, I try to get the sentiments.
Hmm.
So they're
Okay.
having the, yeah, doing an analysis of the sentiments. So basically what they like, what they don't, and how they feel about something. Because how you feel about a product is really important. And
Hmm.
that's how people basically, if they're gonna like you and give you 5 star, or if they're not and give you like 1 star. So you need to really understand what users, which are real people, are really looking for, and really want from, the product they potentially gonna pay for. So yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think beyond just looking for features and the idea that you want to convey this feeling is again something that you can do through your custom product pages, through your screenshots, because you can take a feeling and you can translate it into pixels. So
Hmm.
understanding that is super important. So you're saying ideally everyone leaves this video today, they're leaving the live stream, they're opening up their app figures, they're looking at all their keywords, they're looking at their competitor keywords, they're reading the reviews and their own reviews and competitors, and now they're coming up with a list of maybe new screenshots, maybe just some modifications for their existing screenshots. Is there anything else you can suggest following this particular path? Or is it really all alignment? Just keep it all in the same stream.
Yeah, keep it all on the same stream. Later on, you can do in-app events. Once you're confident with
Hmm.
everything
Okay.
else, you can start with doing in-app events because they also appear in search,
Hmm.
actually. So sometimes, screenshots won't even appear. But if you have nice in-app event with like, once again, really cool visual, now we can have a little video as well. It might be quite engaging. So yeah, think about that. But maybe later on, I think the most important first is obviously getting this screenshot strategy really aligning with everything else. So both the reviews, but like your ads and the content within the app.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. All about alignment. Maybe that's going to be the next teardown. Is your app aligned? Teardown. We'll bring you back and we'll
Yeah.
just look at apps and say no, or yes, or here's why. Okay, that's a great
Yeah.
idea. I'm always on the lookout for new stream ideas. Cool. There are a few questions from the chat about little tips and stuff that people are doing. We can bring it up quickly, but Michael is asking, is there a difference between light mode and dark mode in screenshots?
Interesting. I'm not sure to be
Yeah, I
honest.
don't either know.
Haven't really tested. No, I'm not really sure.
I think this is the kind of thing that you really have to test. There's no other way to know because your app is going to be different, your user base is going to be different, and ultimately it might be that you have users who want dark mode and you have users who don't, and it's not that one beats the other, it's that you need both, and maybe different keywords will lend them. So you can do that type of research, and then you can apply that using custom product pages. It's an interesting
Yeah.
question. Um, Oh, interesting. Okay, so Mike is saying that he implemented 4 features based on competitor review complaints. Not a question, more of a statement, but at least someone is doing.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's the way to do
Yeah,
it.
it's really smart. And also see maybe you're missing a feature that your competitors have and users love about.
Yeah,
Maybe that's something you should implement next, like offline feature. That's something really requested.
yeah,
So yeah, if you're missing it, maybe think about would it add something to my app and the user experience? If yes, then maybe you should work on that.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, a slightly different question from Mike. Mike is asking if he can get the word free in a custom product page. No.
Good luck.
Yeah,
You can, I
exactly.
mean, you can try.
Yeah, exactly. You might try and you might be able to get away with it, but I think at this point it's one of those very easy rejections. that I've seen
Yeah.
everyone get.
But also, I wouldn't recommend just because if a user is really looking for something free, then you're not going to monetize them.
Mm.
You can, like free games, for example, free games have a lot of volume on the App Store, but then that has the worst performance just because people are looking for a free game. They're not looking for a game. Yeah, if you really want like high value users, maybe that's not the best approach.
I did not even think of that. I was just thinking from the technical standpoint of no, Apple's going to reject you. But yeah, yeah. If you're saying I'm looking for users who are never going to pay me, then maybe that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
exactly.
That's
I've tried. We've tried free games with like big companies, and it never worked. A lot of volume,
interesting.
but never worked. Yeah.
Maybe if you monetize with ads, that's the only thing I can think of where you don't care about that. But they will get
Yeah,
very
but
annoyed.
people want free games and no ads.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Okay, one more question. I think we have time. Michael's asking, should you go full on AI keywords in your screenshots? What if some people don't like AI or are skeptical? Hmm.
Mm, yeah, I've been testing this.
Okay.
To be fair, I don't have an answer yet. I'm still in the process of testing. What I know is that most people look for OpenAI, or like AI chatbots, but the competition is really fierce. So I think people are not ready yet, maybe to get like AI everywhere. Maybe worth testing you can say, oh, it includes AI. I don't think it will like be bad for your conversion rates, but I don't think it will add a lot of value.
Yeah. I think we're there for some things, we're not there for others. So there's some things where you can clearly see that if I have some sort of AI, it will make my life considerably better. I'm like, sure, I want AI. But other than chatbots, I think most of the population is not really thinking about it in that way. There's also another consideration from the ASO standpoint. If you slap AI on everything, now all of your keywords are going to be AI related, and everyone is trying to think about this and saying, should I do AI? And the answer is more yes than no. So now you're just competing with a much bigger audience. I've talked about this before. So from a competitive standpoint, unless you really have to lean into AI for whatever reason, if you're just tacking it on, it's just going to make life harder for you when it comes to discovery. You're not going to get as much discovery as you would have if you didn't put AI for whatever it is that you're doing. For example, in a previous teardown, we saw an AI VPN proxy. And I'm sure there's some AI. I think I wasn't really sure live what that AI was. After the live, the developer told me what the AI does, and there is a use case for AI, but I didn't think about it intuitively, and I'm pretty sure no one else will ultimately. So it is clever and it is cool and it's definitely useful. I think it optimizes for speeds, it moves servers or something, makes a ton of sense. But if I'm not looking for it, I don't know if I'm really going to be swayed by oh this thing is AI, or I'm going to think another AI thing. And ultimately, when you do AI, now you're competing with all the AIs. And so it becomes so much more
Yeah.
challenging. So only do it if it really helps you, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe just showcase what the AI actually does within the app,
Hmm.
In that case of the VPN, say, oh, it's faster or like faster than competitors, stuff like that, just
Yeah,
because
like
that's
really
the
highlight it.
people don't care. Yeah, people don't care if you use AI or not. It's not their problem. I think what they care about is what they're gonna get out of your
Exactly.
app. So show what the AI does, and I think that will help more than just showcasing that, use OpenAI or whatever API.
So many good nuggets here, but yet another very good one. Showcase what you're saying, actually, what it looks like, or how it operates, or what is it for me? What is it going to do for me as the user? And I think that's something we lose a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, especially as developers. We think about that we built this feature because we wanted it, or we built this feature because X, but it's not that I as a user need this. And so if
Mm-hmm.
you reframe everything in the I'm a user, do I need this? Then put that on a screen, align it with everything else that you know, now you're winning. Wow. So many cool things in this live stream. We've reached the end because we ran out of time somehow. But there are a few more questions in the chat. I will answer them later in the comments once we're done with the live stream because the chat goes away. Julie, thank you for joining us. This was great. I
Thank
would
you so much.
probably ask you to join again for that. Is your Apple line teardown? I think that would be amazing.
That'd be great. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So we're definitely doing that at some point. Is there anything else you want to add or closing thoughts?
Well, I'm just thinking it might be interesting to some people. I have this newsletter that I run. I send weekly breakdown and use cases about apps that I think are like doing great in terms of growth. So I think you should check it out. It's on Substack. It's called Neo Ads. Maybe we could be able to put a link in the comment. I'll see.
Absolutely. We'll keep links in the
Great.
comments and in the email that comes after with the link to this video for everyone who hasn't seen it.
Amazing.
Yep. So we'll have a
Great.
link to that. If people want to find you, where should they find you? Where are you most active? On
Uh,
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, yeah, you feel free to reach out on LinkedIn, Julie Tonna, and yeah, I also post quite often about what I see, like tips and strategies that I find good and I think are working. So yeah, feel free to add
Perfect.
me.
And we'll add a link to that in the description later so everyone can find you and can talk your ear off and ask you all the questions they didn't get to ask here.
Brilliant.
You've been warned.
Nice.
No, but really, we want all the questions. And you do growth consulting for apps, for games, for everyone.
Exactly, yeah. I used to do a lot more for games when I was at
Okay.
Apple, working with like the biggest developer you can think of.
Hmm.
And now I'm moving to a bit more like apps and subscription models just because it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, yeah, I really appreciate that model. Like monetization is really, really cool when you look at the full funnel once again. So yeah, if you need any help, if you need an audit or anything, just feel free to reach out as well. I provide these services.
Perfect. So we'll make sure that we have all the links so you can find Julie in the future and get an audit and become better and get more growth. Thank you again, Julie, for joining us. Thank you for all the viewers. I'm going to be back with a new live stream in a few weeks where I'll be taking questions about pretty much everything. So bring your questions. That's it for me. Take care, everyone.
Thank you for having me.
So, of course, thank you for joining us.
See ya.